Okay, now we talked about this last week. Just to refresh, we want the domain if the denominator can't be zero, you can't do the square root of a negative. So four x minus two can't be zero because that would make the square root of zero. You'd be divided by zero. Can't divide by zero. Four x minus two can't be zero. And four x minus two is greater than or equal to zero. Okay, got to satisfy both conditions because this is because the denominator can't be zero. And this is because can't do the square root of a negative. Now you put that together, 4x minus 2 can't be zero, and it has to be greater than or equal to zero. It's got to be both, so it can't be equal to zero, right? I'm just going to add 2 to both sides. We get, on this side, we end up with 4x. Has to be greater than 2. And we divide both sides by 4. And there's more detail I'd like to talk about here. We've got to hustle because you got an assignment, 3 assignments due today. Not sure what time of the day they're due. X is greater than 1/2. So there are a couple of ways to write out the domain. Set of numbers x such that x is greater than 1/2. Or the interval 1/2 infinity. And I wrote down the square bracket without thinking. Okay, so that's how you get the domain. Now that's all I'm going to say about domain because we want to talk about 3 topics today. Okay, but get that in your head and you've got a decent start. You want to read what the textbook says. We should have done that a week ago. It's not. I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you, in order to succeed in that course, you got to stay on top of things. Okay. And then you need to stay on top of things in this course too to make that course a little easier for you. All right. Now, do what you. Now, this is a very abbreviated statement. I gave you a more detailed statement a week ago. Okay. But average rate of change is, for your purposes here, for the most part, it's change in y divided by change in x. And that can be written as delta y over delta x. Delta in front of something means the change in that thing. So if I've got a graph, and here's the origin, and here's the x-axis, and here's the y-axis. Let's say you got 8 out here, and you got 16 up here. Then you've got a graph, maybe that looks like this. What's the average rate of change? Interval or 8. Okay, first of all, what do we mean by the interval 4, 8? It's a set of all x values between 4 and 8. So if this is 8 and this is 0, 4 is right halfway in between. So here's x equals 4. Here's x equals 8. Here's y equals 16. So the interval from 4 to 8, put a closed dot here and a closed dot here, indicate that 4 and 8 are both included in the interval. And we put a line segment here. And this is the x interval. Okay. So how much does x change on this interval? Show me with your fingers. Yeah. How much do you think, how much does it look like y changes? Take an estimate. All we know is y is 16 up here and 0 down here. You can estimate. How much? Say about 10, 10, 11. Okay. I think that's a pretty good estimate. Because when I looked at it, I thought it was a little over 10. I was thinking 10, 11, 12. But let's draw a few lines and see. And that you got a good eye for that. Okay. That's a good estimate. We have the point here. And we have the point here. We have a point in the line x equals 4. What's the y coordinate there? Well, if y is 16 here and 0 here, then I'd say y equals 8 about here. And y equals 4 just a little below this line. I'll just say maybe y equals 4. And I put a little wavy thing up there to show it's approximately equal to 4. It looks like it's between 4 and 5. And I didn't draw a very straight line. So I'm just going to go with the estimate 4 because it's easier to work with. Okay. So y is about 4 here. And then at this point, we draw a horizontal line. And I think y is about 15 here. Now, on an open math assignment, they're already going to give you a grid, so they don't make you think. They don't make you think about where these points are. You just look at the grid and don't make any estimates. I'm glad you're good at making estimates. It's an important skill that many people don't have. They come into the course, so make use of that. But, well, you know, those are honest estimates on my part. I think the 4 might have been a little bit lower, but okay, what's the change in y? Well, it changes from 4 to 15, so it looks like your eye nailed it. Okay. So that's very good. Okay, so what we have here blue triangle, it's going to be a triangle. Delta x equals 4, delta y equals 15. In this straight line from point to point, has slope delta y over delta x. Slope is rise divided by run. Okay. I'm going to give you just a little more. Slope is rise divided by run. That's what slope always is. The rise is you're changing the y coordinate. Your rise is 15. You can see why the rise is 15. You got a good eye. You understand that. The run is how far you got to go in this direction. You saw that immediately was 4. So that's good. Okay, that's what it is. Also, notice that the average rate is delta y x. Say it right, delta y over delta x. The slope is here. Slope of this line segment and the average rate. So the level idea is average rate equals the slope. So the slope represents the average rate. Write these down. Show me what you think each one equals. And while you're doing that, I'm going to clean some more board. What you got? I'm not sure all your numbers are right, but you do have the idea, which is the main thing. Okay. F of x equals x squared. What's f of 2? Well, it's 2 squared. What's f of 5 minus f of 2? Well, f of 5, if you replace x by 5, you get f of 5 equals 5 squared. And if you replace x by 2, then it's going to be 2 squared. Okay. And one thing I think I saw you writing down the numbers without writing down the calculation. Okay. Write down the easy thing first. Don't try to do the numbers in your head. Don't do the numbers somewhere else. Write out literally what it is. Okay. What's f of 5 minus 2? 5 minus 2 squared. You can figure that out. You probably figured it out in your head, but you want to write it down. Now, when you got down here, you did exactly what I hoped you would do. F of A is A squared and F of G is G squared. Okay, so how about this? What's F of G of X? What you do here is you write down the simplest thing, as what I did with each of these. So let's see what you got. We did F of A. We saw if we replace X by A, we get A squared. We do F of G. We see that if we replace X by G, we get G squared. Now we got F of G of X. So what's replacing X? G of X is replacing X. It's a little confusing because there's an X here, there's an X here, but the rule is you replace X with whatever you got inside of these parentheses. So what you get is G of X squared. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a different function. I'm going to give you h of x. It's easier for me to write it in script. I think you can still tell that it's an h. You see if you can complete those equalities. Okay. So we have this h of x function, h of 5 minus 2, you're replacing x by 5 minus 2. So this x gets replaced by 5 minus 2. And of course, like you do the arithmetic, that's going to be 3, that's going to be 3. You're going to end up with 1 over the square root of 6. But I'm not interested in that. I know you can do that. Okay. H of A. And now we got little abstracts. We got a letter here. But you got that one. It's A plus 3 because if you replace x here by A, you're going to get A plus 3. Now, you got H of f of x. Now, what at least one person wrote down was not quite right, but you're replacing x by f of x. Well, this x becomes f of x, so does this x. We get 1 over f of x plus 3. There you have it. Okay. Now we're going to do one more step. We do have an f of x function up here, right? So we can say that that equals 1 over the square root of x squared plus 3. Okay. Now then you have to worry about the domain and the range of the composite function. And we're not going to have time to do that today. You're going to have to dig that out, go back to your lectures, whatever. Okay. Short day because of snow schedule and so forth. And then we had, had computer glitches and things that delayed our start. Okay, so we have unfortunately kind of a short class today, but I want to get this whole process of forming the composite down because that'll take you a long way. The domain and the range are important, and there were some points, and you do want to get them down. But if you know how to do this, you got a real good start. Okay, so I'll give you another pair. Here's your f of x function. Here's the g of x function. Give yourself some space. We got f of g of x equals, fill in the most obvious thing. And g of f of x equals, fill in the most obvious thing here. A lot of you are thinking too hard. Okay? Don't think. Just do it. F of g of x, f of x is 2x plus 5. So you replace x by g of x. You replace this x by g of x. You get 2 g of x plus 5. Never skip that step. Okay? I see what you're doing and you're thinking right, but you're thinking about two things at one time. think about one thing, we're replacing x by g of x. Okay, then do the same here, write down what you get. Okay, that you wrote down, I hope you wrote it down, okay, is we're going to the g function and we're replacing x by f of x. So if we replace x by f of x, we get f of x minus 5 over 2. Okay. Now, the next step is easy. G of x equals x minus 5 over 2, right? Okay, so if you replace g of x by x minus 5 over 2, we get 2 times the quantity x minus 5 over 2 plus 5. Right? That's easy. Once you write down this step, the next step is real easy. Unless the functions are really weird or something. And what you do with it after that, you know, can be easy or hard depending what the functions are. But the functions we're using here are not going to be that difficult. Okay. Now, g of f of x is f of x minus 5 over 2, which is going to be 2 times x plus 5 minus 5. Sorry, it's 2 times g of x. No, it's 2 times f. Okay. See, I'm trying to look at too many things at once. I'm trying to think about what I'm going to do next. I'm not doing it right. G of f of x. Okay, f of x then replaces x, and you're going to have an f of x here. So actually, I wrote it down right here. I didn't write my f of x function right here. I wrote the g of x function. We started to. So f of x is 2x plus 5, and we have minus 5 over 2. Okay. Then we do the arithmetic. Now, we are out of time. I'm not going to go through the details of the arithmetic. But if you simplify this, you get x. And we get the same thing here. Now, usually, you're not going to get something that simplifies and gives you just plain old x. If you do, and store this away for the section you'll have to do next week, I think. I haven't checked that far ahead in the assignments for your course. But it's coming up. If you get x both ways when you do f of g of x and g of f of x, that means f of x and g of x are inverse functions. They undo each other. That means whatever x you put in here gives you something that ends up giving you just x. So I know f of g of 738 is 738. And g of f of 738 is 738. F of x gives you something, the g of x takes you back to where you started. Okay. Hope that'll help you. So good luck with the assignment.